So let me give you some concrete examples of the challenge which I see and the risks that we have. I think the last time we had this conversation, I might have mentioned a book by Doris Kearns Goodwin called A Team of Rivals. This is her story about Abraham Lincoln, our president during our Civil War in the mid-19th century, hired onto his cabinet the people that competed with him for the presidency, which is why the title of the book is A Team of Rivals, because they were rivals. The book is extraordinary because the author reproduces conversations among the principals. And it reads as if she was there in 1860, but we're pretty sure that she wasn't. So the question is, how could she have written such a credible sounding dialogue? And the answer is that she went to libraries around the US and found the letters that were exchanged by the principals. And so she could see not only what they talked about, but how they talked about it and what positions they took. And so she was in a position in writing the book to address the various topics using the words of the principals that she had read in their letters. So then I started imagining, well, what if there was a 22nd century Doris Kearns Goodwin, and she was interested in writing about the first few decades of the 21st century? What would she find? Where would her source material be? And when I think of the tweets and the Facebook pages and the emails and all the other social networking things that go on, where will those digital objects be in 100 years' time? And I think the answer is they may not be around at all, unless somebody recognizes that it's important. Now, in the United States, and this is probably true in other countries, it is a requirement of our national archives that they capture the official transactions of the administration. So they certainly all have access to Mr. Trump's tweets, as that's publicly available. But there are lots of other documents, and the law says you must keep track of and record all of the actions that take place so that that can become part of the record. So the National Archives, at the end of an administration, receives disk drives or references to cloud systems of files that are representative of the administration's actions. I think that we have to be consciously determined to make sure that whatever format those things are in can be ingested and properly recorded and indexed and everything else. In the past, it's been hard copy, which is still hard to index and organize, but at least you don't lose it in a cloud of bits that just disappear. It's much worse if they're in digital form, because you may not have the software that's necessary to even render it. So, for example, PDF format is widely used on the presumption and hope that there will be software available to correctly render the PDFs 100 years from now. Of course, the more pessimistic people print this stuff out on paper. The trouble with that is that not all of the digital artifacts that are important can be printed on paper. What if it's video? What if it's audio? What if it's an interactive program? What if it was a program that was modeling the economy and was trying to make sure that we don't end up with another big, deep recession? And so the piece of software needed to be part of the record. That piece of software won't be useful unless we can still execute the software and the operating system that ran on it. So I am still very, very worried that we don't have our arms around a plan to make sure that digital content that should be part of the record will be kept as part of the record. And that doesn't address the problem that each of you have. You have mobiles with you, you take lots of photographs, no doubt, and you may have families that you want to share this information with, and you have descendants like children and grandchildren who might want to know something about your life. Who's taking care of that? How are you making sure that that data is going to be available to them? You can't just put pieces of paper in a shoebox and hand it to them. Well, you can, but then that doesn't deal with all the other letters and the pictures that you took. So that's what I think we're still struggling with this. It's not a solved problem.